Hey y'all, Lindsay here. Happy 2017. I realize I'm like 18 days late on that, and I'm sorry for that this year. As you may have seen on social media, it has been a crazy start to this year for us. Our family's come down with this crazy virus that Rosie and I have passed around, and we have spent literally 2 weeks sitting and holding crying babies, me in the bed for a period of time. It was not good. But I'm so thankful that it's behind us. I'm so excited to be back and connect with you guys and be back to work and like some semblance of normal life. But as hard as that was, it was also good because it forced us to sit down and rest and reflect on the past year and then sort of really look ahead to 2017 and get excited about some directions we're moving in. So I wanted to pop into today with you guys for my first post of 2017 to sort of break down some of that, to share with you a little bit about what 2016 looked for us, and then the visions that we have for this year. That's going to be a big, exciting year, we can already tell. I know I've shared little tidbits about this in different posts, but within our first year of marriage, God really sent us on this adventure of renovating houses to pay off the enormous amount of college loan debt that we had. And I've shared some of that story with you guys. I'm going to share more about that story this year as a lot of that has developed and changed. But we're now on our third house. We went into 2016 living in this third house. And so we were 5 years in on that journey, and it just felt like the right time to really start evaluating where have we been, what's God doing, what needs to change, and where do we need to move in the future. The first half of 2016 I think was hard in many ways because we just started to realize how many things about our life needed to change in some ways, choices that we needed to make, areas that really needed some attention. And so we spent a lot of time talking and praying over what that looked like. And we came up with some things that really affect every area of our life. A big new thing is having a word for the year that really encompasses where you're going. And I love that idea because instead of making this long list of potentially unattainable goals that create a lot of pressure, you have kind of a vision, an idea for where you're headed. For us, we have a couple of words that we really feel like encompass the vision that God has given us for this next year. Those words is simple, or to simplify. So much of what we realized in 2016 is that our life has become very flooded with excess in every area. And I'm going to break down some of that process and the choices that we're making to rid ourselves of that. But we've realized that we need to simplify. We need to say no to some things. We need to streamline what we're doing as a family so that we can be more effective in the areas that we feel like are most important. You know, we've said our life is filled with wonderful things, with good things, and it's hard to really decipher sometimes that those good things may be preventing us from experiencing the best that God has for us. So we're excited to go on that journey and really see what that looks like for us. The other word that we're really prioritizing this year is abundance. And I want to be clear that abundance is different than excess. But one thing we've really processed is that when your life is flooded with all of this excess, you're not doing anything well. You know, for me, for the blog, for example, I try to do so many things that I'm sort of diluted in what I'm able to accomplish. And all that creates is feelings of failure and feelings of stress. And so when you get rid of that, when you simplify, we believe that an abundance comes into play. You know, we believe that God is a God of abundance, and not abundance in excess finances that are going to help us to live a more comfortable life or anything like that, but abundance in the areas that matter. Mental space freed up so that we are more present with our family, that we are more effective in the few things that we feel like God has really put in front of us. And we are so excited to go on that journey this year. This will be our 7th year of marriage, and it's exciting to realize the significance that the number 7 has in the Bible, God's perfect number, the day that He rested, and we can just feel with all that we processed in 2016 that this year, our 7th year together as a family, is going to be very defining. Chris and I both can feel that we're on the cusp of something really exciting, and in a lot of different areas. And so we're excited to kind of go through that and navigate that and then share that here with you guys as well. I know that a lot of that is vague, and I'm sorry for that. There's so much going on in our mind with all of this that's going to unfold throughout this year that we are going to be breaking down. In the coming weeks and months, I'm going to be doing a little video series sharing our story, because I've realized that's something I've only shared in little like snippets throughout the last 6 years, and it's such a big part of who we are. You know, when I started this blog, my initial vision was to just tell our family story. And in many ways I've done that, but I feel like I've only scratched the surface. So I'm excited to dive into that this year. So I'll really be sharing kind of how our family has lived, and then what are we doing going forward to simplify and find the abundance around us. We're excited about that. That soul searching that we did, the blog was a huge part of that. So I do want to touch on that really quickly. I think that some things will look different to you guys as I move in this, and with some of the choices 2016 brought where the blog was concerned. And I think in some ways it's going to be more behind the scenes. But 2016, where the blog is concerned, was filled with a lot of stress and a lot of guilt and a lot of just sense of failure on my part, because I had to come to terms with the fact that the dream I envisioned for this blog may not be the dream that God envisioned for this blog. And that with the other things that are important to us in life, me having flexibility to help raise our children at home, all of the change that brought, I had to realize that being the blogger I dreamed of is not probably possible in this season of life. But that doesn't mean there's not joy and purpose in what is possible for this blog. And I'm excited for that. I'm excited to have finally let go of a lot of those expectations and demands I placed on myself that I think really hindered what I was able to do here. You know, my mind was so focused on this giant to-do list that I felt like I had to accomplish for the blog. I was almost crippled and couldn't really tackle any of it well. So 2016 was a big year of streamlining the blog for me. Some of that you may have seen, some of it was really behind the scenes, but it was really evaluating how much time am I putting into different aspects of the blog and what's the benefit from that. Number one, financially, because we need this to make money. If I'm going to spend all my time on it, we need the resources to come back from it. But also, where does God's purpose fall in all that? Early on in the year, when we really just felt like we were drowning in so many areas, and the blog was one of them, I prayed a very specific prayer that we would be somewhere by the end of the year that would surprise us, that God would make some changes in our life, that He would reveal things to us, that we would finish the year different than we started it, and that would launch us into the future. And that totally happened, y'all, and it's so exciting. When I started this blog, my goal was to just tell our family's story. Renovation and design is a huge part of that, but I've never envisioned this as strictly a design blog. And so I'm kind of coming back full circle to that. And renovation and design will always be a part of this blog because it's a huge part of who we are. But I'm excited to show you the full spectrum of who we are with our story, our debt journey that God has done amazing things with, that is so centered to who we are, our natural living story, just all the pieces that make up who we are that are genuine and true to us. I'm excited to share those with you going forward and really just let go of the pressure and expectation for this to look a certain way or be a certain thing. I think that kind of pressure can really cripple us, and I experience that a ton. So I am excited. I'm moving into this next year where the blog is concerned with just a feeling of freedom and excitement and just renewed purpose for what it's supposed to be, what God intended for it to be, and what I'm actually able to produce. So I am not going to promise you guys any kind of post requirements or amount of posts a week or what days they'll go live or anything like that. I am going to promise you guys that I'll be here when I'm able to be, and when I have something I feel a purpose in sharing that I'm so excited to share with you guys that is real and true about our family. So I'm excited for that. I hope that you guys are. As I said, this year is going to be a big one. There's already things that we know that are going to happen, are in the works, that are going to really be the culmination of what we've worked for the last 6.5 years, and that is so exciting. There's also things we see coming this year that are going to really launch us into the next phase, and I can't wait to share that journey with you guys. So thank you for showing up. Thank you for making this a place that I want to be, that I'm excited to come and share our family with you. It's going to be a good year, and I'm so excited to see it unfold with you guys.